It's a new year and a new chance for you to make a fresh start with your compliance. We're going to be bringing you a daily tip, strategy, or idea that you can use to improve your program. Here's your host, Tom Fox, the Compliance Evangelist.
We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. What is the best single-author handbook for a best practices compliance program? I would humbly submit to you that it is the Compliance Handbook, 5th edition, by myself, Tom Fox. It's published by LexisNexis, and it's designed to give you information on how to improve your compliance program literally across an entire year. Each entry has 3 key takeaways of things you can do at little or no cost for your compliance program. I'm going to link to it in the show notes, so check out the Compliance Handbook, 5th edition. Day 27, the compliance function in an organization. The role of the compliance function and the compliance professional in a corporation has steadily grown in stature and prestige over the years. When it came to the corporate compliance function, the 2020 FCPA Resource Guide 2nd edition said under the hallmarks of an effective compliance program, the government would consider whether the company devoted adequate staffing and resources to the compliance program given the size, structure, and risk profile of the business. This hallmark was significantly expanded in both the original FCPA. In the corporate enforcement policy, the DOJ listed the following factors related to a corporate compliance program that it would consider as indicia an effective compliance and ethics program. Number 1, the resources dedicated to compliance. 2, the quality and experience of the personnel involved in compliance such that they can understand and identify transactions and activities that would pose a potential risk. 3, the authority and independence of the compliance function and the availability of compliance expertise to the board. 4, the compensation and promotion of personnel involved in compliance in view of their role, responsibilities, performance, and other appropriate factors. Number 5, the reporting structure of any compliance personnel employed or contracted by the company. Clearly, the DOJ is articulating that an operationalized compliance program, it expects compliance professionals who understand the way compliance interacts and supports the business. Companies must compensate and promote compliance professionals within their organization. So let's take a deep dive into some of these. Funding and resources. You have to justify your corporate compliance spend. This means at a minimum you have to meet some general industry standard. If a corporation tries to lowball both the pay to compliance professionals as well as the dollar and headcount made available, it will not be viewed positively. Also, as noted in the ECCP, a company must be prepared to defend any request for compliance resources that are turned down. Budget requests and allocations are always difficult in times of any corporation. There is never enough money to go around, and most senior management thinks it is their job to squash all budget requests as simply as a matter of course. Role of compliance and empowerment. More than simply throwing money at compliance function, as if that would ever happen, the DOJ is now requiring a corporate or inquiring into how the compliance function and its recommendations are treated by the organization. ECCP, there was a significant new addition which forces a company to adequately compensate those who investigate and pass judgment on misconduct. But more than simply inadequate compensation, requires a company not to retaliate via low salaries or limited raises for those simply doing their jobs. What about the structure of your compliance program? Where is the compliance program housed? Is it within legal? Has the compliance function compare with other strategic functions in your corporation in terms of stature, comp, rank, title, etc.? Update to the corporate enforcement policy both demonstrate the continued evolution in thinking of the DOJ around the corporate compliance function. The articulated inquiries can only strengthen a corporate compliance function, and the more the DOJ talks about the independence of compliance function, coupled with the resources made available and the authority concomitant with the corporate compliance function, the more corporations will see it directly in their interest to provide the resources, authority, and gravitas to compliance. Indeed, there's a series of questions in the 2023 ECP, including structure, seniority and stature, experience and qualifications, funding and resources, data resources and access. There's data analytics yet again. And finally, autonomy. So take a look at all of these in your corporation going forward. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, how is your compliance function treated in the budget process? Number 2, has your compliance function had any decisions overridden by senior management? And finally, number 3, beware of outsourcing of compliance, as any such contractor must have full access to company documents and personnel and have the competence to adequately perform the outsourced compliance function. I hope you will join me tomorrow for day 28. I know you'll enjoy tomorrow's episode. I hope you will join me for the rest of 31 days to a more effective compliance program, where we take a deep dive into your overall compliance program. Thank you for listening to this episode of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program. 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network. If you'd like more information on any of the topics of this month's series, 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program, check out The Compliance Handbook 5th edition, available from LexisNexis. You can check it out at lexisnexis.com/Fox. I know you will find it useful and enjoy it. Thanks so much for listening.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.